That's impact.
The right way.
That's impact.
The right
Hello
way.
and welcome to a new episode of Let's Right Leader. Hashtag That's Impact the Right Way. This episode is about had to interview a candidate for thinks a person could go to Google or Siri and get. It really is not about a person acing an interview. See how the person thinks. Go ahead and give you two questions just to revolutionize your interviewing practices. Interviews, but two questions that when asked are going to go ahead and cause candidates. Let's jump into the two questions. The two questions. 3, how are they monitoring it? How are they measuring what they're doing? And to ask some questions that are your own questions, I challenge you to use these two questions. See what the candidates tell you during the interview. We're looking to see how does the person think. Welcome to a new episode of Let's Get It Right with me, your host, Vernon Wright. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Right Leader. Hashtag That's Impact the Right Way. This episode is about interviewing. If you have ever been in the role of someone that has had to interview a candidate for a position and someone has given you a list of questions to ask and you have thought to yourself silently inside, these questions are really not rigorous questions. They really don't tell me how the person thinks. A person could go to Google or Siri and get the answers to these questions. So we know as veteran interviewers, those that have interviewed folks over the years, that it really is not about a person acing an interview. It's really about trying to see how the person thinks. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you two questions, just two questions that are going to go ahead and revolutionize your interviewing practices. It's something that is not quite asked a lot in interviews, but two questions that when asked back to back or even together are going to go ahead and cause candidates to think. So without further ado, let's jump into the two questions. The two questions are this. Tell me about a time when you taught someone how to do something. Tell me about a time when you taught someone how to do something, whether it was in the confines of a professional environment or a personal environment. The follow-up question to that is this. Tell me about, as you were teaching the person, what did you do if the person did not understand your teaching, your instruction as you were teaching them? How did you remedy that? How did you assess your own progress? And then at the very end, how did you know that your instruction was successful? So here's what I want to go ahead and tell you that those two questions do. Those two questions give you information in these following areas. Number 1, it tells you about how a person's thinking is when it comes to designing instruction. Number 2, it tells you about a person's thinking when it comes to implementing instruction. Number 3, it tells you about how a person perceives or thinks about assessing their ongoing instruction. How are they monitoring it? How are they measuring what they're doing in real time? The next thing that it does is it lets you know once they assess or they see that maybe there's some things that they need to change, what do they do in terms of refinement? And then lastly, because we know that when greatness happens, we don't want greatness to happen one time. We want it to happen all the time. So it lets you know about what they think in terms of sustainability. So there you have it. Those are the two questions. I will show those up on the screen again for you to look at. But I challenge you, if you're given the ability to, within the next interview, to ask some questions that are your own questions, I challenge you to use these two questions. And when you ask them, sit back and see what the candidates tell you during the interview. With that being said, use those two questions and let's see what the candidates tell you in their interview. Again, remember, as an interviewer, we're looking to see how does the person think, because usually, however the person thinks, that's usually what they will end up doing. So until next time, remember, feed your brain, feed your soul, and grow your role. That's impact the right way. See you next time. That's impact
The right way.
That's impact.